Hey everybody, it's Marianne Bailey with OnlineTechLessons.com, and today we are talking about Tech Tuesday here with Ryan Lippe from the Ohio State Attorney's Office. Do I say that right?
Ohio Attorney General's office.
Thank
There we
you.
go. There we go.
Ryan, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So we were just talking about, you just got back from Yellow Springs. We talked about that on last Tuesday, that you were going to go on vacation. And how was
Yes.
your vacation?
It was wonderful. We got a relaxing night's sleep. We did a combination of going into the village of Yellow Springs and the city area. And we did see Dave Chappelle. He's live and well and walking. He was literally walking down the street when we woke up in the morning and got some coffee and then walked to the uptown area, and he was there.
Awesome.
I don't know where he was going to, but he's done a lot of very popular shows in the area. He's brought in a lot of folks. So that was interesting.
Brought in Dave Letterman.
Dave Letterman.
What more can we ask for, right?
Right. And I got to go into the Glen Helen area of the nature, that whole nature area. And we went to the Raptor Center. I don't know if you know, there's a Raptor, a rehabilitation center for owls and birds like falcons and eagles. And so we saw the Raptor Center. This was my second or third time there.
Nice.
But it was interesting. It was good. It was good.
I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah. It was a low tech holiday.
You know what? As much as I love technology, it's always good to disconnect and to be able to get away just for a few days and turn it all off. So yeah, I totally feel you. All right. Well, today, guys, we are going to be talking about cyber smarts for older adults. And I am going to screen share because Ryan sent over a brochure that we want to talk about a couple days ago. And Ryan, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so Ryan's going to go over some tips that are on this brochure and help you guys out with what we can do to stay a little bit smarter while we're on our tech.
Yeah, and actually the front page has a lot of the technology tips. And the second page is more signs of financial exploitation and red flags and services and resources for older adults. So this is a really good online document that we have available at ohioprotects.org. It's totally free, obviously. I mean, we're a government agency just trying to help the public, in this case, older adults, stay safe when they're online. And as we are dealing with COVID-19 and as we're dealing with the shopping season, both at the same time, I think people are going to be going online instead of brick and mortar shopping more now than ever. I mean, the stats always go up and up and up. The retail folks always send out statistics showing that more and more people every year are going towards using their gadgets and devices instead of their cars and their buses to go get Christmas gifts and to go get holiday gifts. So this year, obviously, is going to be a huge increase in online participation, I would think. And so our document starts out with some basic internet tips. For example, did you know that usually web browsers have a pop-up blocker included within the browser? Sometimes you do have to activate it or turn it on or install it. But a pop-up blocker is one way to get rid of one source of malicious software. Now, not all pop-ups are bad, but there are pop-ups that contain malicious software that will then load various ads onto your computer or take your computer power away and use it towards scamming other people or holding your computer for ransom and not letting you back into your stuff until or unless you provide money to the scam artist. So anyway, that can happen through a bad link. It can happen through an attachment. It can happen through a pop-up. So a pop-up blocker is one way to, a free way usually, to avoid some of those advertisements and some of those malicious kinds of pop-up windows.
You know, when we think about ransomware and stuff like that, we think of wealthier people that are targeted because they have the money to be able to pay out for that, or businesses, large businesses that they hold the entire server for ransomware and stuff. But that can happen just for normal everyday people like you and me, right?
Absolutely. And it can happen to small businesses, even if they only have a couple of employees. I mean, if you have a presence on the web, if you've got a network, it can definitely happen to you, because they don't always target big businesses. Sometimes they take an approach of just sending thousands or millions of spam out there, hoping that someone will catch on and be lured into it. And so they may catch, a small college, they may catch a bakery, they may catch a restaurant one time, they may catch some big, huge Fortune 500 company another time. And they don't always want millions of dollars in ransom. They set their fees, and they want money to be able to get you to re-access your own information through that ransom software or ransomware. And it can definitely hit individuals. It can definitely hit small businesses. And sometimes those are the very victims or potential victims that don't back up their data, or they feel compelled to pay the ransom because they may not have any other way to access their family photos or their browser or things like that. So sometimes some of the best targets are actually smaller businesses or individuals that know less about technology than some big company that has all kinds of IT staff on board. So it definitely can happen to small targets and big targets.
And so I should be able to answer this, but I'm not that much up on ransomware because none of my clients have ever had it. I mean, I know what it is and stuff like that. Is there any way that the average person can go about saving their system from this?
Sometimes it really depends on how savvy it is and what type of ransomware they're putting on your computer. There have been success stories about people going to an appliance store or an IT professional in their neighborhood that can run the checks and end up taking the virus off, or really undoing the handcuffs on their electronic system, so to speak. So there have been success stories. So I would not give up. And it's always a choice to pay the ransom or not, but realize if you are under that kind of threat, if you pay the ransom, what is to stop them from saying, oh, you know what, there's another fee that you have to pay. So let's try this again. How about another $300? And they'll keep going at it until you're sick of them. So you have to figure out whether the scammer is going to be good for their word and actually get you the recovery key or get you the method to get out of the scam, whether they're going to actually be true to their word or not. And so that's obviously, I'm pretty skeptical when it comes to listening to scam artists. So a lot of times people
like beating a blackmailer.
Yeah. A lot of times the best source is to try to get rid of it using an IT professional or someone at an appliance store that offers technical assistance, running virus checks, newly updated virus checks to figure out whether that can resolve the problem or not. If it's really, really savvy, you may be out of luck if you haven't backed up your data. But it's definitely worth a shot to try to get that ransomware off your computer using a credible source and using someone who knows what they're doing.
Is that something where they just lock up the computer? Like if you had another computer, could you just hop on your other computer? Or is it like the network itself, or could it be both?
I think it really depends on what kind of ransomware it is. And then some people have their network all connected together and everything. So I'm not sure how many of these cases block access to the entire network or block access to just one particular part of the network. But I guess the more they know about your system, the more vulnerable you are to something that would really get you in trouble with something that's harder to get out from under without paying the ransom. So I'm not sure is the short answer, but it's definitely worth it to back up your data and have that off your network and have it be a separate external hard drive, or have it somewhere that's encrypted and security protected, so you have a chance of getting to your files if you have to start from scratch or have to reformat your hard drive.
Yeah, I've got a couple of referral partners that are IT people that I refer people here in the Dayton area. I might have to see if one of them can come on the show and tell us a little bit more about that as well. So that's good to think about, because, you know, we tend to forget about it because we don't normally hear about it in just normal circles, but I guess people are getting more desperate as the times get rougher. And
when I get asked questions when I'm out and giving a presentation, either virtually or in person during other times, you know, people ask me, well, what about, you know, is it the network or is it the computer? How deep can the scam go? How broad can they get with the scam? And I sort of think, well, it depends on how savvy they are, and it depends on how much about your network they know. Because for scammers, the sky's the limit if they know about it and they have a way into your network or into your device. So I would think that if they can't get into your network today, it's only a matter of time before they are able to build ransomware that would be able to do that as well and shut down a whole network.
that's kind of scary. That is definitely kind of scary.
And, you know, when people are shopping online, and again, just like I mentioned last Tuesday, you don't want to use free public Wi-Fi to do any of these kinds of credit card transactions or logging in or using any of your wallets, your digital wallets or anything like that. And make sure that your entire website is that you're going to, whether it's, you know, a big Amazon.com or whether it's a real small offshoot of one of your brick and mortar local establishments, make sure that the address begins with HTTPS. The S stands for secure. And so even if you don't put in HTTP, every website that's hypertext savvy with that technology starts with HTTP, but only the secure ones will be HTTPS. So that S is really important. And sometimes your address bar will turn green. Sometimes you'll see a lock displayed on your address bar. It really depends on what browser and what version of the browser you have. So look for those telltale signs before you even start thinking about putting a credit card into the a credit card number into the shopping cart.
Yeah, that's really, really important. Ryan, what browser do you use on your personal computer that, for the most part?
I have more than one. I mean, I use Google Chrome a lot, but I do have other browsers because I realize sometimes sometimes websites are optimized for certain browsers. So I try to keep up to speed, and I try to have more than one completely updated browser on my desktop. But you know, for work and for home, I'm switching on and off sometimes. But a lot of times my go-to browser will be Chrome personally. But we can't endorse any products or services or any types of browsers. So it's good to read consumer reviews. It's good to talk to friends and neighbors. If, like you, some folks have friends that are tech savvy or themselves are IT prone, you might get a variety of opinions about which, you know, are people going to Microsoft Edge? What are the pluses and minuses of that new browser that Microsoft created? Same thing with Chrome and Internet Explorer and Firefox and all the browsers out there. But I mean, there's some commonality between the browsers in terms, or among the browsers in terms of, you know, most of them have pop-up blockers. Most of them have security and privacy settings. They might default to certain settings that you may or may not like. So it's important before you decide on a browser and start using it that you look at the privacy and security settings, set them at least for medium level. Go as high as you think you can, but realize that sometimes your internet browsing experience can be impacted if you put everything at the highest setting for your privacy and your security. Sometimes they'll disable certain functions, and some things may not run or run as well as they would be if you had a lower security setting. But I would never, ever think about taking it below the medium or that moderate kind of security level, because that's a good default. If you don't know where to set it at medium, and then sort of go higher and figure out if it's giving you problems doing some of your web activities that way.
Those are some great tips. And if any of you guys have any problem with finding out where those settings are or whatever, shoot me a message. I'll be glad to help you out with that, because that is such an important thing. A lot of times I know that I go to different websites and I often forget to check those settings, like when I'm having a hard time getting onto that website and it's just not loading for me, or it's not giving me the results that I need. And often I'll go like open up Firefox or something like that else on my computer, and I'm able to get to that website. So sometimes when people are designing websites, they tend to overlook. If you're a good designer, you think about these things and how it's going to show up on different Chrome or Firefox or different browsers, and making sure that they all work throughout the system, but also how it also shows up on digital devices such as iPhones and iPads and different tablets and stuff like that.
That's what I was just going to mention. Yeah, making sure they're optimized for mobile units and optimized according to the screen size of the device that the consumer's trying to use.
And then making sure that iOS, allows you in with those security settings, and just doing it. So we're not going to get into web design, obviously, today on that or whatever, but just kind of making sure that you know how to get to those security settings so that you can change them in order to be able to protect yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And know that your devices may all have different security settings and different menus and things like that. So it might be different for, even if you have a couple of laptops, they may vary drastically in terms of how to do those settings, and the browsers that come pre-installed, the browsers you may have downloaded over the years, whether those are up to date or not. And I think last time I talked about the importance of updating your antivirus program. It's also important to keep updates on your operating system and on your internet browser as well, to make sure you have any security patches that may have come out recently that'll protect you from malware. And that's really the root of what happened with the Target data breach several holiday seasons ago, was that one of their contractors did not have a security patch on one of their networks. And so a scammer was able to use that and get through all the way to Target's consumer database and get a lot of credit card information and other consumer details. And it was actually an HVAC. It was a heating and air conditioning ventilation repair, third-party repair consultant whose system was at risk, that failed to update the security patches. And so people were able to get in there and get all the way into their client Target's consumer database that way. It's pretty scary.
And there's softwares that do protect against malware specifically, like Malwarebytes, against malware issues like that. Specifically, there's that word again. I always have a problem with that word, with Malwarebytes. And I know a lot of people that will run protection through like Windows 10 has a built-in virus protection, and then they spend the money that they would have on virus protection purchasing like Malwarebytes to just make sure that they're run, because like a lot of times you may not know that you're infected with that. There's not going to be something that pops up that says you're infected or whatever, but you're going to notice if you have malware on your system, that your system is running slower. It's just not reacting as fast. It's taking its time loading, stuff like that. So that's when they even have a free demo. You can go to their site. I think it's Malwarebytes, is it .net or .com, and download their demo version of that and their trial, and just kind of clean up your computer. And that usually does help without having to take it into somebody to have it looked at.
Another good website just for general public awareness is staysafeonline.org.
Okay.
And that's sort of a consortium. There's a lot of groups behind staysafeonline.org, I believe. But one thing they do deeper in that site, if you have a few minutes on staysafeonline.org, they actually have a nice laundry list of companies that will give you one-time scanning of your hard drive for potential viruses. So it's not really in place of having a good virus protection software, but it is a good one-timer if you just need a quick glance at your hard drive to see if there's something onerous happening there. They have a bunch of companies, and then from there, you can maybe look to those kinds of companies in terms of purchasing permanent software that can be updated on a regular basis so your system is safe year-round.
Okay. All right. And I will put in the comments, I will put down in the staysafeonline.org link for you guys as well. What else? What's one other thing? What's a good social media tip off of this flyer that you would want to talk about?
Again, it goes back to some of your privacy settings, especially making it known to yourself what information is going to become public, what information is going to be searchable by search engines, knowing before you're posting. Before you post that you're going on vacation. Right. Think about whether that's going out to just your Facebook friends or to a whole universe of folks like friends of friends and deeper than that. And always opt for at least telling yourself it's going to be going out to everyone and it's going to never expire, because a lot of times with screenshots and with people archiving databases and websites, some of these Snapchats and some of these other types of postings that you can do online or through your apps do seem to last forever, even when they promise it's only going to friends. Well, what happens when somebody screenshots that and sends it out to a broader universe? What happens when someone goes ahead and archives a website that you have updated, but not completely, you've updated it, but then has it been archived through one of the archival websites out there that can go back, like the Wayback. There's that Wayback website that just, you can go back through virtually any website and figure out where it was at certain points in time. What did it look like in 2008? What did it look like in 2012? So if you just Google Wayback Internet, Wayback Machine
Wayback
Internet.
Machine?
Yeah, you can find out what different websites looked like back in the day. But what troubles me is some of the same concepts can be used with people's Facebook accounts, with people's own websites, things like that. So you just never know who might be saving things or who might be archiving things. So if you think something's going to expire in 30 minutes or 30 days, you may be wrong. So opt for an approach where you're telling yourself, don't post it unless you want that post to go out to everybody and be accessible forever.
I hate to give him credit, but a long time ago, I dated this guy who used to say all the time, don't put in writing if you don't, something that you don't want the entire world to know about. And that's the same thing when it comes to the internet as well. And when it comes to putting pictures and stuff about vacations, it's fun to fantasize about vacations and plan and everything else. But guess what? If you're going to do that, you know what? Save those and wait until you get back from vacation and then show everybody the great pictures that you took while you were on vacation.
Right.
So, because you don't want to let everybody know that your house is going to be empty for the next 2 weeks while you're gone on vacation.
Yeah. And, some people have everything sort of toggled to put on their posting where it's taking place, what the date is, what the time is. They have their settings in such a way that with their apps, they have a sort of a protocol where once everything is posted, the internet, Google, whoever will determine the time, date, and place and automatically put that on each photo while it's sharing it on social media. So if you're one of those kind of people, try to turn those kinds of geotag settings off unless you know you really need it, so that it doesn't automatically label your photos in real time. And then that can sort of be a safety issue, because you may even be telling people where you are at a moment's notice. So they could go and go into your home. They could do who knows what if they know you're on a nature hike in Yellow Springs like I was over the weekend. So just be very careful and be a little skeptical without being paranoid, but be skeptical when people tell you that a post is going to expire or a chat is going to be deleted or that something won't go past you unless it won't go past your friends on Facebook, because it definitely can go further than that if somebody wants it to.
All right, Ryan. Well, those are some great tips. We're running a little short on time, and I don't want to keep everybody because I know everyone's busy working from home and all that good stuff. Next week, I haven't even talked to you about this yet, but I would like to talk about next week the privacy settings that are built into, say, like Facebook for people. If something were to happen to you, did you know that Facebook actually has legacy settings that you can actually tell what your wishes are and what happens to, let's say, your Facebook account should you pass away?
Yeah.
So not to be morbid or anything, but those are important things that people need to know about. So let's talk about that next week. Does that work?
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay. So everybody, if you need any help or whatever, Ryan, how can they reach out to the Ohio Attorney General's office for any kind of help?
Now, we don't offer really any tech support,
right?
But if you're interested in some good information on cybersecurity or identity theft or scams, OhioProtects.org is a good place to start. OhioProtects.org, and our toll-free number for our help center. Again, it's not really like an IT help desk though. So you just gotta, if you ask us to give you a presentation to a group of folks, we can help you with that. If you want some literature, we can help you with that or direct you where to go online. That toll-free number is 1-800-282-0515. So that's 800-282-0515, and they're there all week long during business hours, business days mostly.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the help center for the entire office.
Sure. I'll put those contacts in the comments as well. And like I said, if you have any questions about malware, about how to protect yourself from that or from virus protection and how to do that, holler at me. My email is marianne@thehipsenior.com is probably the easiest one to reach me at right now. You can go on to thehipsenior.com and see our new magazine and our new directory as well. And then if you are happening to be having any real technical issues, such as your computer's got a virus or it's got malware or it has, you're being held ransom for ransomware or anything like that, I've got a great guy here in the Dayton area if you're in my area. If not, I'm sure, and you're really having a hard time finding you, I'm sure I could help you find somebody in your area to help you as well. So if you have any questions about how to keep your browser up to date as far as that, or to set those security settings, holler at me as well. I guess we could stop screen sharing, couldn't we?
Well, it's always great. I'll just put another plug in here for the ability for your computer to do some of this in the background so that you can sort of set it and forget it. So if your computer asks you if you want it to automatically do updates on these kinds of software and this type of hardware, say yes. So you don't have to keep regularly checking for updates. You can get on a scheduled protocol so that you will have automatic updates performed on your behalf.
It's still good to know how to check for those updates as well, though, because sometimes I know I go in and I check, just out of, let's see, make sure my computer's up to date. And I find that there's 4 or 5 updates that my computer has not done that should have. So it's still good to know how to do those as well. So
absolutely.
Anyway, so 1-800-525-5364 is my office number. If you need help on some security issues or know how to keep on date, definitely reach out to me as well. And again, join us next week, Tuesday at 1 o'clock here for Tech Tuesday, because we're going to be going over what settings you need to be aware of, just in case something were to happen to you or you're put out of commission for a while or whatever. What's going on with your social media and how to protect yourself and your family with that as well. So those are really important to go over. So we will see you next Tuesday. Ryan, thanks again for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Have a great day.
All
right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.